In this video, I'm going to show you how to place your rear brake calipers on this Ford F-150. Located right behind your rear wheels, let's get started. With the vehicle safely raised and supported, use a 21mm socket, remove all 6 lug nuts, and then pull the wheel off. Use a 13mm socket and loosen up and remove both of these bolts that hold the caliper onto the bracket. If the slider pin starts spinning, grab onto it with some pliers to hold it and prevent it from spinning so you can finish removing your bolt. I'm going to leave this one in a few threads so it can hold the caliper on while I remove the lower one. Take this bolt out, finish removing the top bolt. Now you can pull the caliper right off. At this point I'm going to set this aside up on the leaf spring. I don't want to pull on this brake hose by letting it hang, so right there it'll be nice and secure and out of my way. Remove the brake pads. Set those aside. Now use an 18mm socket, remove these 2 bolts holding the caliper bracket onto the rear axle. Leave this one in a few threads so it can hold it on while you remove the lower one. Take out the other bolt, finish removing the first one. Now on the new caliper, we're going to have to separate the caliper from the bracket. Use a 13mm socket and remove these 2 bolts. Take the caliper and set it aside. We're going to work on the bracket. What you want is a thin layer of brake grease or silicone paste right over here on this ridge where the anti-rattle clips are going to ride. If you put too much, it'll squeeze out and get onto your rotor. So you just want a thin layer. And you want to make sure that if you are using silicone paste, it is rated for brakes, otherwise it will melt. Once you have that coated, take the anti-rattle clip and you'll see that there's 2 tabs that stick up. You want these facing towards the outside of the caliper, not towards the inside. So center it up and press it down. Just like that. Ensure that it's fully seated, flip it over, and do the same to this side. Once both of your anti-rattle clips are installed, let's remove the slider pins one at a time so we can lubricate them. And the reason I like to do these one at a time is because these are actually different. So this one over here is going to have this rubber sleeve, whereas the other side will not. I'm going to take some of that same silicone paste I had before, add some to the inside of the boot, and this will just be a reserve of grease as the brakes operate over time. It'll make sure that these slider pins stay lubricated. I will also add some to the slider pin itself. You just can't put too much on here because it'll get pushed off as you slide it in. Make sure that you get some on that upper ridge there where the boot seals up and slide the pin all the way into the caliper. Push out any air that's stuck in here by pushing the pin in and squeezing the boot. And then flip it over, do the same to the other pin. Now take your caliper bracket, line it up with the axle, slide it over the rotor, and have 1 bolt ready to go so you can start it on. Then you can let go, start in your other one. We're going to torque both of these to 181 foot-pounds. All right, now you want to take your pads and line them up with the bracket. They have these hooks top and bottom that need to slide over. You might need to pry up on these tabs. These are like little springs that hold the pad in and prevent it from moving around or rattling too much. There we go. Once you've pried these out, you should be able to slide the pad on smoothly. Perfect. Now take your brake caliper and line it up with the bracket. Have your 2 bolts ready to start on. Snug these up and we'll torque them to 24 foot-pounds. If your slider pin starts spinning, you can use some pliers to hold it in place. When you do this, just be careful not to damage the boot. Now we're going to do two things here. With an 11mm wrench, we're going to break the bleeder screw free. So use a pocket screwdriver if needed and pop the cap off of it. Put that wrench on, break it free, and open it up just a little bit. This is going to start our gravity bleed process as soon as we connect the hose. And now we can remove our brand new banjo bolt with the 2 copper washers from the caliper. There it is. Leave one washer on it, and the other one you can remove. And with a collection bucket underneath and a 12mm socket, remove the banjo bolt off of the old caliper. Let that caliper drain, remove the old banjo bolt completely, and ensure that no copper washers got left behind on the brake hose. For me, it looks like this one is stuck on here. The easiest way to remove these is with some pliers. Just pinch it, and off it comes. Inspect this surface to make sure that the new washers will seal up. Then take your new banjo bolt, slide it through with that new copper washer, and then on the other side, install the other copper washer. Now start the bolt into the caliper. You want to make sure you line up the hose so that this hook falls right into its slot. This new banjo bolt is 11mm in size, so grab a wrench just to snug it up really quick before we torque it so that it at least stops dripping. We'll torque this banjo bolt to 26 foot-pounds. What this does is it ensures that the copper washers have squished and sealed up. You can see already that I have clean brake fluid dripping from the bleeder screw, no air bubbles, so our gravity bleed is actually already done. So with that done, I can close the bleeder screw off. Just give it about 1/8 of a turn after it bottoms out, clean up anything that dripped, and cap it off. This gravity bleed should have taken care of most, if not all, of the air that's in this caliper. However, if you think you need to do a full manual brake bleed, you'll see how to do that at the end of the video. Let's get the wheel on. Start on all 6 lug nuts. We'll bottom them out in a cross pattern, and then also in a cross pattern torque them to 150 foot-pounds. 150 foot-pounds in a cross pattern, here we go. Double check them if you'd like. And there you have it. Don't forget to pump up the brake pedal. Now let's top off the master cylinder, remove the cap, fill it up to the max line, cap it back off, and take it for a road test. On your driver's side of the engine compartment, right behind the air box, you'll see your brake master cylinder. Typically, I'd want to start by wiping this off if it has any debris on it. This one's actually very clean, so there's nothing for me to wipe off. I'm going to remove the cap by unthreading it. If you read it closely, you'll see that you need .4 brake fluid for this application. What I would typically do at this point is remove all of the existing brake fluid in the master cylinder reservoir. However, this vehicle has almost brand new brake fluid in here, so there's no reason for me to pull this out. But if yours was old or dark in color, definitely remove it with a vacuum pump, a transfer fluid pump, whatever you have that'll pull fluid right through here. For me, like I said, I'm just going to top it off all the way up to the max line. You can see that on the side of the reservoir. Once again, using .3 brake fluid. That's full right there, so let's cap it off. Now the sequence for bleeding these brakes, you want to start at the right rear caliper, that's the passenger side rear, then you move to the left rear, then you want to top off the master cylinder, then move to the right front, and then finally finish off with the left front, that being the driver's side front caliper, then top off the master cylinder once again. At this point, if you think you need to bleed more and you think there's air in the system still, go around in the same sequence, topping it off every other caliper. We're at the right rear caliper, so let's take the bleeder screw cover off. I have an assistant inside the vehicle ready to pump up the brake pedal. Go ahead and pump. All right, they're holding pressure. I have a collection receptacle that has a hose on it. Use an 11mm wrench and break the bleeder screw free. There we go. Go ahead and pump again. We're going to do this until no air bubbles come out and we have nice clean brake fluid.
Holding.
All right. Break this free. Go again.
Holding.
All right. Go again.
Holding.
Perfect. You can let go of the brake pedal now. I'll remove my collection receptacle. If any brake fluid spilt, go ahead and wash it off with some brake parts cleaner, and then cap the bleeder screw off. Next, move over to the left rear and bleed the caliper the same way. Now let's top off the master cylinder, remove the cap, fill it up to the max line, and cap it back off. We're now at the right front caliper. Master cylinder's topped off, ready to go. Remove the bleeder screw cover. If you have a hose like me, put that on there. Now this time you're going to use a 3/8 wrench for the front, not an 11 millimeter. Go ahead and pump.
Holding.
Okay, holding pressure. So same as the rear, crack it open. All right, close it off, go ahead and pump.
Holding.
All right, close this off. This is perfect. You can let go now. Once again, wipe off any brake fluid and rinse it off with brake parts cleaner if needed. Cap this off and then finish the brake bleed off with the left front caliper. Top off the master cylinder one last time. Cap it off, and there you have it. Job is done.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.